Been a long week, eh? Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, today's only Thursday. Today feels like Friday for some reason. And of course it was a kind of a gloomy, cloudy day, but it's good. So here we are for Thursday's show. Let me just make sure that the sound and everything is okay. And we're ready to roll. Yep, we're good. I was checking the background to see the background music because sometimes it's too loud, sometimes it's too low. So gotta make sure it's okay. Anyway, guys, how are you doing? Hope your week is coming along well. Today is Thursday. Hope you had a fruitful week, and things are rolling along well, and you're healthy and you're happy. Not happy, but peaceful, joyful, doing well. Okay, so today's show we want to continue where we left off yesterday. All week we've been dealing with distinctions or life principles that make up what we call the Qualped life, or a system, a lifestyle that leads to us altering our future and designing our life, right? So we have one message and we keep regurgitating that message over and over because we want people to get it. And we've got, of course, a training program which is a very innovative training program. It's a technology, it's a kind of a new design of the book and the ebook and stuff like that, that everybody can take this thing and transform their life, right? And we have a whole training program on how to go about doing it and all that. And one day we'll get into it, but this week we made a promise that we would stick with life principles. The life principles are the foundation and the pillars that make up the Qualped life. Because when we design a Qualped life, this lifestyle that we are saying to people that we have researched scientifically, including brain research as well, like for example, the book by, I keep forgetting the names of these things, but there's a book by a brain research surgeon, I can't, but it has to do with the plasticity of the brain. And so we read all those things and research all those things. So our system is based on very, very well-researched scientific papers and all that, right? And we have courses, we have books, we have all those things that we eventually will roll out. What we have is a membership club, and that membership club has a membership fee to it, and everybody who joins with a regular membership fee, so it's not like you're buying stuff or we're selling stuff. You become a member of our Qualped Club, our Society of Authors of the Future, and as a member you get access to every single thing that we have, our courses, our books. You get a book written and published, so a range of benefits that you wouldn't find anywhere else, right? Of course, you're going to have your own live streaming show, right? Because we're expanding the live streaming aspect of the company, which is Future Stars Media Enterprise, into and we're working very fast to make this happen, into a 24/7 operation where we would have 24 shows per day, 24 hourly long shows, different shows per day, or it could be half-hour shows as well, right? But that's our plan, that's our goal. We, in life you have to have plans and goals, and then work those plans to make them happen. So we're rolling out the live streaming as our interface with the public and our way of, if you will, our marketing plan, which not really is, it's more of a branding strategy. And out of that we get our members out of this platform, and also we have an e-commerce book site where we're selling ebooks and stuff like that. We have like 150 ebooks on it so far, but we're gonna expand that and eventually bring in Sims Books, which is our technology, and all these things the members of our club would have free access to: courses, e-commerce, products, our branding, our live streaming show, our magazine Millionaire Mindset. All those things, there were 14 different things our company does, right? Our company has 14 different products, and if you go on our website, qualped.com, you will see what those 14 products are, including research and development and all those things. But that's the overall company. What I want to talk about today is continue along the vein for today and tomorrow. So today Thursday, tomorrow Friday. So this whole week we would have spent talking about life principles or distinctions that are unique to the people who are living a deliberate life of self-development, of self-mastery, and self-expression, right? This is an important structure, straight line if you will, that all these life principles must align with each other, right? And on Monday we dealt with 3, Tuesday we dealt with 3 or 4 more, and yesterday we had 3 or 4 more. So we had about 9 or 10 so far this week. And go back to the videos and watch them and check them out, right? Today we're going to deal with 3 more, which I think we touched on before in videos, maybe last week or the week before. But now we're going to go in depth into these 3 life principles, or these 3 roadmaps or guideposts that are along the road to the designed life. As we author our future, we want to scale up to the summit of our lives, and the way we do that is to follow some guideposts. You don't want to walk through wilderness being lost and have to find your way. Then that's too much energy, too much effort. You get exhausted, right? Looking for a way out of a jungle, a wilderness. So we want a pathway, though it's not well trodden, it's not beaten down pathway, because a lot of people don't live that life of the designed life or designing our future. We still have to have guideposts, right? And a roadmap where we're going, especially if we're going up a mountain to the summit of our lives. And this phrase you're going to hear me say over and over again, the summit of our lives, because our lives has a peak. It has a mountain top, and that's where we want to end up, our ultimate potential. And that's why we do what we do. We can, just don't do this live and don't do anything, just exist. But no, we have something to contribute to the world, to people who would listen to us. And that's something that we want to contribute, is to encourage you, is to awaken everybody, is to get us to a place where we are going up to the summit of our lives, to the top of the mountain, our ultimate potential. Whatever our skill set is, whatever our passion, whatever we feel is possible for us, right? And so these life principles are guideposts, and the roadmap to make the Qualped Life happen. Of course, listening to this live talk show, the Qualped Life Talk Show, and hearing about the guideposts or the life principles or the distinctions won't really do anything for you, but it educates and edifies us, including myself, on what is necessary for us to be on that path of the designed life or the authoring of our future. So we look in life for those guideposts, right? Today we want to talk about 3 of them. Okay, let me see if I'm getting a message about... Okay, good. Thank you, Mano. Appreciate it. Yeah, my friend Mano. Just let me know the audio and everything is good, which is fine, which is beautiful. I have good friends, right? Right, Mano? Anyway, today's life principles we want to deal with are 3, and they're very, very important. Now, I mentioned these on the show before. I think when we just started, one day we dealt with these 3 things. But they're so important that I want to zero in on them today. I want to really focus on these 3 today. And hopefully, if you're watching me or you're listening or you're watching this video after after the live is over and it's recorded on YouTube or Facebook, then please pay attention to it, because this could be valuable for you, right? For your life. It could contribute. It could cause an awakening, a kind of epiphany or a kind of aha moment that would be beneficial, right? Even if you get that out of it, even if you get that one thing out of it, it would be worth it, right? So the first thing I want to deal with is intuition. Intuition. Now, intuition is a very, very important thing, which I think in the world that we live in, a lot of people kind of, for one, a lot of people don't understand what intuition is, right? What constitutes this thing we call intuition. So we're going to deal with that, because a lot of people are fuzzy. The word intuition, or the whole concept of intuition, is a mysterious thing for a lot of people, right? There's a phrase in the Bible that the Apostle Paul used. He said his job, the Apostle Paul in the Bible, he said his job, his mission in life was to reveal, and this is so crucial, was to reveal the mysteries of the ages and the generations. So for the generations and ages, certain mysteries are hidden, and these mysteries are revealed to certain people in life, right? For whatever reason. For me, I do the work. I'm not special. I'm not like, I'm just a human being, but I do the work. I read a lot. I go delve into deep, amazing books and literature and the whole canon of mankind. I read as much as I can. Of course, I'm limited with time and effort, and I was getting tired and all that. But I read a lot, and so out of this research, some enlightenment comes, right? Some new ideas and all those things. Oh, again, I gotta turn off this heat. Sorry. Yesterday, it happened yesterday too. I forgot to turn off the heat, and the live was going. And what happens is the microphone is so sensitive that it picks up the vent, the noise from the vent as the heat is pushing through the building, right? So I had to turn it off. It's going to take a second for it to go down in case you're hearing some weird monotonous noise in the background. That's the heat vent. Heat vents are going, but it's going to turn off soon. It happened yesterday too, and I forgot today again to turn off the heat. Anyway, please excuse me. Sorry about the interruption. So we're talking about intuition. So yeah, this Paul says in the Bible, which strikes me as such an not intense, but such a beautiful thing, such a noble thing, that his job, his mission as the writer, one of the writers of the New Testament in the Bible, was to reveal the mysteries of the ages and the generation to people in society. And so people like Isaac Newton and Alexander Graham Bell and all the big innovators, even Elon Musk and Zuckerberg, the great thinkers, the great minds, the originators and innovators and visionaries of the earth. That's what they do. They come across secret knowledge, mysteries, Paul called them, of the ages and the generation, and they reveal that to us, right? They tell us, they say to us, and there are 2 books by Northrop Frye that really zero in on this concept as well. Those books are called, if you get hold of them, it would be valuable to read them. The Great Code and Words with Power. Words with Power and The Great Code are the names of 2 books written by Northrop Frye, this former, he's the late professor at University of Toronto. And those are enormous books. They're not enormous, but big ideas is what I mean. They're deep, really deep books, deep concepts. And what they talk about is there are certain words or language that has certain power. And of course, Words with Power and The Great Code, coded in language like certain texts, for example, deeply buried in that text are secret knowledge, right? And we know about secret societies and all that. We touched yesterday on the Freemasons and all that, and the symbolism of what they mean. So a lot of secret knowledge exists in the world. That's my point. A lot of secret knowledge exists in the world, and there are people who go out there and they stumble upon the knowledge, or they search it out, or it's revealed to them. There's revelation knowledge as well, and they share it with mankind. They share it with humanity through writing, through talking to people, through inventions, through new creations, through originating things, and they improve humanity by this way, right? So these life principles that we talk about for the quadruped life are along that vein, along that line of mysteries of the ages and the generation. One of those mysteries that I'm going to talk about today, I'm going to talk about 3 of them. But the first one we want to zero in on is intuition. Now, intuition is a crucial aspect of our being as human beings. Intuition plays a huge role in our lives, but we discount it because we live in a world that the philosophers told us, rationalism is where we should be, that we should rationalize everything, and we should come up with logics. Only logics could verify things and could show up truth. But really and truly, there is and we are moving into that age now, where more and more, and it used to be back in the day, of course, before rationalism took over society, we're moving into an age where more and more people are realizing that intuition plays a very important part in life. Now, I want to distinguish intuition, and we want to discuss intuition a little bit, and then we'll go on to the other 2 before we wrap up today, right? So intuition is not instinct. I want to make that very, very clear. Because a lot of people confuse the 2. They collapse the 2 together and say instinct and intuition are the same thing. They're not the same thing. Instinct, animals have instinct, lower animals than I know some people would be upset me saying animals are lower than humans, but animals are lower than humans, dogs and cats and birds and all that. They're lower beings, they're not even beings, they're, you know, living organisms, or animals, right? They have instinct, the instinct to survive, the instinct to go after food, the instinct to protect themselves, the instinct to carve out their own territory and protect it, right? The instinct to protect your young, the instinct to reproduce. Those are all instincts within living organisms, right? But with a human being, we have instinct as well. We have survival instinct. We have, if we go hungry, we go, you know, the instinct kicks in to say, hey, you need food, you need energy, you need something in your body. And on top of instinct, though, which is an animalistic kind of quality, above and beyond that is our intuition. And that's what we want to talk about today, along with two other life principles, which we'll get into after we finish the intuition part. So intuition is that part of us. So instinct is our physical body. Our physical body reacts to things, to the weather, to what's going on around us, our environment. If there's a threat or if there is something that triggers our laughing, like comedy and all, those are instinctual stuff. But deeper than instinct, so this is our theory in the Qualped life, and a lot of it is based on how should I say, theories that we have, or the philosophy of the Qualped life. Excuse me, which there is such a thing. And part of the philosophy of the Qualped life, or part of what we believe the Qualped life it constitutes, is that the human being, remember we believe in the individual, right? We don't believe in a crowd of people or the masses of society. We believe in the individual as much as community is important, like-minded community. But we really believe in the individual, and the individual is made up. We really believe this, and we stand on it, and we build all our solutions on this idea that the human being is a tripartite being, that we made up of body, and we have a soul, or the body is encased in a soul, and the soul is encased in our spirit. So we have a body, we have a soul, and having is not the right word. We are a body, we are a soul, and we are a spirit. The three coming together to form the individual who's unique, who is an individual that nobody in the history of humanity, or the future of humanity, or the current world that we live in can be another you. Not even your twin, right? You can have identical twins, but you're still individually unique. And what makes us unique is the spirit in us. Our body looks different, yes, because nobody looks exactly alike. Like you have lookalikes, but nobody looks exactly alike as somebody else. We're different in our features because our spirit is in us. That makes us unique, it makes us individual. And our soul is a different thing. Our soul is the life in us, the emotions and the mind that we think with, and the will that we take action with. The reason I say all that is to say this. Instinct is a body reaction. It's like Pavlov's dog, right? You know the story of Pavlov's dog. He took a hammer and tapped his knee, and automatically the knee would move. Try it, right? We did it in biology class back in high school. And the same thing with a dog. You train a dog by instinct, right? You ring a bell and it knows it's. If you ring a bell and feed it, after a while it knows when the bell is rung, it's time for feeding, and it starts salivating. The saliva would come up in the dog and stuff. This is the Pavlov experiment. Anyway, what I'm saying is that instinct is part of the body reaction to stimulus around us, right? Or even in us. Intuition is different. Intuition is a part of our spirit man, the spirit person. That's where intuition is resident. And what intuition is, now a lot of people use the term sixth sense, or I sense something, or I have, or red flags show up. People who are dating and married and stuff, they say this constantly, especially somebody, and I don't want to knock women, but women say this a lot. I feel something, right? I have a sense of this person, and they're referring to their intuition, but because a lot of people don't develop the intuition, so the intuition is in us, but it's a little seed that is in our spirit. We gotta, just like we have to develop everything in our body, like muscles, right? We have to develop our minds, which is by reading People don't do that these days, right? We need to really develop our mind. Our mind just doesn't, the education system does it, but once we out of the education system, we stop doing it. But some people, they keep reading, lifelong learning, right? And the mind is constantly exercised, so the mind becomes like a buffed muscle. And the same with emotions. You got to train your emotions, and you got to train your will. Every part of the human being, we have to train and develop. We can't leave it to grow wild, like a wild tree. Then it goes haywire, right? The same with intuition. We got to train that intuition. We have to learn how to develop it, and we have a training course on that actually. And we train people how to develop their intuition, and intuition is that sixth sense. That's not even sixth sense. That's a wrong way to put it, because sixth sense refers to the five senses of the body. But this intuition is part of the spirit, and what the intuition allows us to do is to discern. That word is very, very important. To discern. So we're going on the life, on the qualped life path, the life of the design life, or the authoring our future life. And one of the signs that we would see, along with the ones that we dealt with before, is this word intuition. What that word intuition means is discernment. You have to be able to discern certain things in life. For example, there's a training for this, right? And we who went through journalism school and investigative journalism, and then I did life coaching, and of course Bible college, and having read all these literature and stuff, after a while you start developing a kind of sense where the intuition becomes fine-tuned. The intuition becomes, so it's easy to, it's kind of, how should, I don't know if I should use the word easy, but it becomes normal, I guess is the word, to figure out people within a few minutes of having conversation with them. In fact, you could walk into a room and just by somebody's demeanor, not necessarily their body language, but the way their eyes are or something like that, you could kind of get a general idea. You can't pinpoint exactly, but you get a general idea of the spirit in a person, what kind of person you're dealing with, right? And you know how to approach that person. Now, of course, this is a skill set that a lot of people have. People say, oh, I sense this in that person, or I sense that in that person. And people say, I like him or her instantly, or I don't like him or her instantly. This is referring to your intuition reacting. But because we haven't been trained and we haven't developed the intuition, a lot of us ignore the intuition and we bulldoze ahead anyway, or we react too much to that intuition, right? I had, constantly you talk to people and they would say things like, they would express fear about things, and they would express, oh, we need to, like when you talk business to somebody, all they do is talk business. They don't want to discuss life. Or when you talk career to somebody, they just want to discuss career. In other words, people live in little boxes. They put themselves in boxes and they live there, what they call boundaries and all those things, which is an expression of fear. Somebody says, oh, I have boundaries, don't overstep my boundaries. It means they're not confident. It means they're very, very fearful of anybody encroaching in their territory, right? It's a sign of something not right that needs to be fixed, they need counseling or therapy or coaching or something. My point is, they're reacting to this thing, this guardedness that they have, instead of being open to the world, is a way of them giving in to the intuition, but not listening to the intuition. They say, my intuition is telling me something is not right here. For whatever reason, could be their fault, could be the person they're encountering's fault, right? But they don't, even if you encounter somebody who's bad, who your intuition is saying stay away from this person, you should be able to have enough confidence, enough strength, and enough courage to reach out to that person and say to that person, whatever I can do for you in life and whatever I can help with, whatever opportunities I can offer you, I'm willing to do it. I'm willing to be there for you. Because we don't judge people, right? We don't say somebody is not worthy of our time or our effort. We might not rub shoulders with a person, but we can still see somebody who our intuition says this is a bad deal, this is toxic, but we can still offer some kind of human touch to help them, if possible, to get to a place where there is some healing and redemption. The same thing when people reach out to us. I don't want to walk around because of the color of my skin, or because somebody thinks I don't look good enough or I don't dress good enough, that they shut me down, which happens a lot in society, this superficial way of looking at people, because we don't develop this thing in us called intuition. We have to look into our intuition and develop it, and it's very different from instinct, right? So don't go out in life to alter your future, to design the life that you love, to live to your potential, unless you develop these life skills, unless you can see on that path that you're following your intuition, that you know how to listen to the intuition. Now the intuition is a very small voice. It's a very, very small voice within our spirit. And it could easily be drowned out. All kinds of noise drowned out. Not noise from outside, I mean self-talk, I mean anxiety, depression, negative emotions, toxic stuff, people pouring stuff into us and say, oh, listen to me, listen to me, listen to me. All over in the world we have to subject ourselves to whatever, right? Institutions and religions and people around in our lives and family and everybody, friends, associates saying to us all kinds of stuff. There's always chatter in the world that we live in, social media for example, and it drowns out the voice of the intuition. So we don't end up listening to intuition. So that's a key life principle. And I want to really emphasize that it's very different from instinct, and intuition is very different from instinct, but intuition is a very, 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 very important thing. It's a gauge, it's a measurement of who you should get close to and who you shouldn't get close to, or what is good in life and what is bad in life, right? That measurement stick, intuition, is valuable and crucial and important. Now the second life principle I want to get onto and deal with, and one day we're going to have all these things in ebooks and Sims books, right? We're going to put all of this because it's all stored on video. We have notes, I have tons of notes that we're going to start. In fact, we're rolling out one Sims book per week. And so in a year we'd have like 50 Sims books, and if we get a staff, we want to do 2 or 3 a week. So we have 100 or 150 books rolling out every year. That's our goal as well, along with the daily live streaming show. So we have some big things we're working on. But anyway, the second thing I want to get into is integrity. Now we dealt with integrity at one point during the show. I think it was last week for an entire show. I think we dwelt on the term integrity. Because just like intuition, there's a lot of misconception and mystery and fuzziness, vagueness around the word intuition. The same thing with integrity. A lot of people miss what integrity really is. Integrity has absolutely nothing to do with morality and ethics and doing good. Nothing at all. Integrity is a completely different concept. What integrity means, and we dealt with this before, right? I mean, those of you who were on the show before and you're still watching, hopefully, you would know that when I say integrity, I meant something. Integrity is when you live up to your purpose. An inanimate object like a chair or a desk or the camera or the light has integrity. Not only human being has integrity. So when we talk about integrity, we talk about integrity in the sense of whatever something is created for, the function that it was created to perform, the purpose for its existence, it lives up to that purpose. That's what we call integrity. So, and here is how it relates to human beings, to us. We are created with a purpose. I believe that. And even if you don't believe in creation, you believe you evolved from a monkey. You had to evolve from a monkey for a purpose. If you believe your life is without any purpose, you're in a sad space, right? You got to believe that you have some kind of purpose. There has to be some reason for you to breathe this air and breathing it out and be existing and going through all the pain of this existing in this world system that is so harsh and ugly at times. It could be nice and peaceful and well and you have good days, but most overall, the world system is brutal to the individual. And why are we going through it? Why do we face it day after day after day and we yet want to keep living? The reason is we have a purpose. We exist for a purpose. We exist for a reason. And if we align ourselves, so we won't deal with alignment again, but we dealt with it in one video, the importance of being aligned with things, with these principles, these life principles, those signposts on the road to the designed life, they have to be aligned in your life. Like a train track, or the train would fall off. The train of our lives. We talked about this before. So integrity is us being aligned to our purpose. First of all, of course, we got to find out what our purpose is. A lot of people, 90% of humanity, I would venture, don't know what their purpose is. Now we can expect that from kids and maybe teenagers. But once you hit your 20s, 30s, and 40s, and even older people don't realize what their purpose is, you got to introspect. You got to examine yourself. You got to do an internal audit of your heart and your mind and your passion and say, why am I living this life? Why am I here? Why am I on earth in this generation, in this day and age, right? What am I doing here? And so first of all, knowing that you have a purpose. Second of all, knowing what that purpose is. And then thirdly, aligning yourself with that purpose, with determination to say, no matter what, I'm going to live for what I believe I should be achieving. For us, we believe that a qualified lifestyle is why I exist. And my team that come on board, they have their own passions and their own purpose in life, but they also have a purpose within Qualped, my shareholders and stuff, and they come alongside me and we work together and we make it happen. The same with every human being. Part of our training course is to say to people, let's find your purpose and then get you on that road where you're completely and absolutely aligned with your purpose. Now that is what integrity is. Integrity is when you wake up in the morning, you say, I'm not living for what the world says, go pay bills or go do that. Those are necessary. Don't let me not paying bills. You have to pay your bills because they're going to throw you out, even the bank, from your mortgage if you have a mortgage. But even if you don't, you have all the bills, taxes included, that the government will come after you if you don't pay your bills. Pay your bills. My point is, that's not our purpose. Our purpose is a bigger deal, okay? And so we do what the necessities of life, we do what we need to do. We need to go buy groceries, that's the world we live in. So buy your groceries, do whatever you need to do, but align yourself to your purpose after you would have found what your purpose is, knowing that you have a purpose. And once you keep aligning yourself, it's a daily walk. Daily you got to wake up and say, I'm aligned to this is who I am. You can write it out. I am going to be this person, or I am this person. In the moment you choose who you want to be. For me, I am a writer. I love literature. I'm a man of literature. The other thing I say about myself, one of my purposes, is to be a biblical man. Because one day I'm going to deal with why that is so. But I'm so enamored by the characters in the Bible, the great men who thousands of years later we still name our children after those men of the Bible and women of the Bible, like Deborah and Sarah and all those there. Biblical, Elizabeth, Mary, they're all biblical names that we still use today. Who names their children Caesar? Nobody. Or Pilate, or any one of these nobles from ancient times. Even Pharaoh. Nobody. So being a biblical man, I shouldn't divert on that. But it is one of the purpose that I see myself living my life into the future. And once I declare that, once I make a declaration that is so, then I align myself to it. Because that's integrity. Once I declare my purpose, this is who I am, and this is who I'm setting out in the world to be, whether I fail or succeed is not the question. The question is, am I aligned to that purpose? Am I determined, and am I really committed with effort and with intention to be that person I declared myself to be? Am I living the life for which I believe I was created to live? Am I living the life of achieving the purpose for which I breathe this breath of life, this sacred breath of life? There's a purpose for me to breathe, and same as you and same as everybody. So everybody who comes on board with us would go through this exercise of finding out what their purpose is and aligning with that purpose. We make sure you align to that purpose, and we make sure that we with joy and with peace, not with a big stick, right? Not with control and intimidation and all those things, but in agreement, we all align, each one of us, to our purpose. And life becomes so beautiful, so peaceful. Because no matter what you go through, you can live on the street, you could wear rags, you could go hungry, but if you're living your purpose, there is peace and there is joy. I can absolutely guarantee you that if you live your purpose in life and you stay focused on it and you're always aligned with it, with integrity, and you're not worried about money, you're not worried about the good life, you're not worried about what people would say, you're not worried about living up to tradition or religious rules and rights and regulations, you're not worried about any of that. All you're worried about, and not even worried but joyously approaching, is this life that I'm given to live on the face of this earth to achieve this one purpose. And yesterday we talked about one thing we could do with the purpose that we have is find a problem, a common human problem that has always been there in human society, and tackle it and try to find a solution for it. But you don't need to do that. That's originals and high-level thinkers, right? Visionaries. You could, once you find your purpose, whatever it is, align yourself to it. The other thing I want to say about integrity, some people say if you're a janitor or if you have some menial labor job, that is your purpose and you should focus on that. I don't buy that. I don't subscribe to that. If you're a janitor or whatever you do in life, and if that is not contributing to the world system, to the humanity in society, no, a clean building of course is contributing. If you clean a school or something, it's contributing to the students' welfare. But what I mean is, your purpose has to be higher. It has to be a high thing. It has to be something that touches lives in a real way, their soul and their spirit, not just surface stuff, right? But we won't get into that today. So intuition is important, and it's a spiritual sense that we have to develop and cultivate and make sure it becomes something good. And also integrity. Integrity is important because it's aligning with who we are. That's what integrity is. It's that we are not out of sync with who we declare ourselves to be. We're not crooked in our lives. We're not living a lie. We're living in truth, in alignment, in our structure is set for a life moving forward, moving up to the summit of our lives. Now the third thing I want to touch on, time is going very fast. The third thing I want to touch on is, so we have intuition, integrity, and the third thing is imagination. Now imagination is the reason I picked these three things today, which we talked about before, we dealt with them before, but superficially, we didn't delve into them. Today I picked them because they're so crucial, and all three of them, intuition, integrity, and imagination, the intention as well, they all come from within our spirit man, the spirit person. They're not they're not senses of the body. I can't point to one thing and say there is your integrity, or there is your imagination, or there is your intuition. They're, how should I say? They're part of the human being, the being part of the human being. That's so again, we should delve into this. We're human beings, right? Not just human, we're beings. And in that being part of us, there is a lot of stuff. Again, if we go back to what Paul was saying in the Bible, a lot of mystery around that being part of us, a lot of secret knowledge, a lot of words with power, and like Northrop Frye says with his book, and words with power, and a great code that is buried like a code language that is buried in encryption, right? These things are within us as human beings. So the being part of us, we have to, the human society has not yet explored fully the being side of us. I think the only person who really delved into it, and there's a science around it called ontology. That's what the science is called. Ontology is the science of the being part of humanity, right? And of course, Eric Fromm is the one who really explored this topic, and his book, To Have or To Be, is very, very insightful, dealing with this topic of the being part of human being. So these life principles I'm talking about, in fact the whole Qualped life is all about developing the being side of the human, because for the past 100 years in the industrial society, which we talked about yesterday, for that whole 100 years, and even before in the feudal age, thousands of years in the agricultural society and the feudal society, what we had was the human side. We focused on the human side. You had to survive, you had to develop comforts for the body, right, including heating system and housing and all those things, moving away from tents from 1,000 years ago when the Roman Empire ruled the world, right, building roads and drainage and civilization as we know it today. It took a lot of focus on the human side of us, for us to build human civilization. Now we are moving into a world which is no longer physical. It's going to be, well, the physical is there, but it's physically being subsumed or subjected to the virtual world. The virtual world is rolling out, and today South Korea, the capital city of South Korea, Seoul, announced that they would be the first city in the metaverse that Facebook and 1,000 companies are rolling out around the world. 1,000 companies are working on this, more than 1,000, on what is called the metaverse, which Zuckerberg made popular, right? And Seoul announced today that they would be the first city that would make up the metaverse, which is astonishing. Toronto is going to be like that one day, New York, and all over the place. And you can't imagine it, so don't even try. But talking about imagine, that's the word we're dealing with. So we talked today about intuition, and we talk about integrity. Now we're talking about imagination. Now here is how important imagination is. Our imagination, which is also part of the spirit person. In your spirit is this thing called imagination. And sadly, because we live in a world that idolizes rationalism, a lot of people don't develop their imagination, right? The imagination goes to waste. A lot of people live their whole life and never try to produce a song or write a poem or write a novel or something. Now, as kids and even as adults, people have imagination. They're constantly using their imagination. If they're not self-talking in worry and anxiety and depression, then they're imagining things. You come up with stories. You imagine a nicer house, a nice car. You imagine, beautiful people around you. People come up with all kinds of things that they imagine, and we live in a world of imagination. How real is this? We talked about this before, but I'm going to pick 2 examples, maybe 3 examples. The first one is Elon Musk. Today is the richest man in the world, right? He's valued, he lost about 50 billion, so he's valued about $250 billion. That money, by the way, in a segue, that money has nothing to do with real estate. If you take Elon Musk's, even all his factories, they don't even add up to $2 billion. $2 billion, and he's $250 billion is his worth. His worth has nothing to do with physical assets. It has to do with, astonishingly, you got to get this, it has to do with shares and virtual assets. The assets he's developing, his brand, his intellectual property. That's where his value is. The same with Apple, the same with Zuckerberg. None of Facebook's building on their server farm or whatever they're doing, Amazon, Apple, Alibaba, none of them. They're building, their real estate owner, things that they own, value as much as they're worth. Tesla is now worth $1 trillion. Facebook is $1 trillion. Apple is $1 trillion. Microsoft, Google, they're all worth, each one of them, Alibaba, $1 trillion each. They don't have no real estate on the face of the earth. Is that valuable? It's all virtual assets. It's all assets that are not real in terms of physical space. They're all virtual assets, and that's the world we're moving into. Now, one of the reasons I want to emphasize that is to emphasize the fact that a lot of these worlds that are now so massively wealthy and powerful and influential over the human society, they came out of people's imagination. Elon Musk, Tesla, and that whole company and him came out of a book that was published in the 1950s with this character in it called Musk, who conquered Mars. Elon Musk and his dad found that book, and out of that his imagination got to work. Out of a fictional novel, he created what we know today as Tesla and Neuralink and Neuralink, I think it's called, and SpaceX and all the companies that he's doing, and he's going to Mars and all that. Now, so it started out of a fictional novel, his imagination, and then Facebook just announced, Zuckerberg, so let's say that's an anomaly with Tesla. How about this? Facebook just announced last week or a week before, 2 weeks ago, within the past, recent times, that Facebook is transitioning into Meta and building out a metaverse. And Zuckerberg mentioned that this idea came from a novel, from a guy named Neil Stephenson, I think, or Stapleton or something like that, he's the author of this book that was published, talking about the metaverse and all of that. And out of that book, which is a fictional novel, it's a sci-fi novel, Zuckerberg got the idea to build the metaverse, and now we are seeing society massively transform. Within 5 to 10 years, we will recognize human society. If we were to go back in time and jump to the future, we wouldn't recognize it, right? Just like people back in the day who had cord phone at home couldn't imagine cell phones. They couldn't fathom such a world as we walking around with a whole computer in our hand, right? In the 80s, even in the 90s, early 90s, people couldn't imagine this thing. And here it is now, right? Less than, 25 years later, 30 years later. So all these things, the world that we live in came out of a world of imagination. Let's take a third example. Harry Potter, the author of Harry Potter, became a billionaire, first billionaire author, because she wrote a fictional novel. Out of her imagination, she created a world that so many millions of people tapped into, buying the Harry Potter merchandise and the books, and watching the movies, and absorbing that content that she put out, that magical world. And she became, a multi-billionaire and she gave away a lot of her money because she activated her imagination. So imagination is absolutely crucial, and one of the things we do with Equalped Life is we teach ourselves and our students, our mentorees and the people we coach, on how to activate the imagination and create a world where you can people that world with characters, with merchandise, with NFT, and a story that so captivates people that you can build out a whole world, which is what our Sims book is, that benefits you for the rest of your life, right? And so imagination is absolutely crucial. I want to emphasize the fact that because we live in a world of, again, rationalism, we push aside things like intuition. We push aside things, we say integrity is doing what is right. No, it's not doing what is right. Integrity is aligning with who you are. It's alignment. That's what integrity is. It's being firm and being true to your purpose, right? That's what alignment is. That's what integrity is. So intuition, integrity, we push these things aside, and imagination, we even belittle imagination. In school, they say science is important, and logics, and rational stuff. But imagination, like creative writing, is a, byproduct. It's a side thing. It's a curricular activity that you do on the side, right? We don't activate the imagination of the new generation that we're educating. And I mean, yes, it happens. I'm not saying, generally I'm speaking, right? That's not how the world system works, to get us to live imaginatively. The world system says to us, live rationally. And if things don't align rationally, if things don't logically align, then you go into fear and anxiety. And that's what happened to people who are depressed and in fear and in anxiety, apart from hormonal imbalance. What happens to them is, rationally things don't align, and they get scared and they get fearful. But instead of jump over to the other side of life, which is your imagination, and allow your imagination to develop and to grow and to start creating new worlds. Especially in the age we live in today with the internet. You could go on the internet, subscribe to, I don't want to plug Adobe Creative Cloud. I've been a subscriber to our company, to Adobe Creative Cloud, for about, as long as they exist actually. You're looking at about 20 years. And the tools on Adobe Creative Cloud are amazing. They have like 20-something software. You can build anything on it. Use your imagination and go on there. They make Hollywood movies now with tools from Adobe Creative Cloud, and people make all kinds of content for online, and we can do the same thing, right, using our imagination. So part of the training program that we do in Equalped Life is we train people to activate their imagination, to create new worlds and live in those worlds and deploy those worlds as experiences, like experience that people can enjoy. Airbnb has this thing on their website that they say online experiences. That's what you use your imagination and create shows and create an experience that people could subscribe to and experience. It could be from, you have all kinds of stuff, cooking and different things, writing and all that. But my point is, online experience is a huge area where the future, a lot of people will be playing there, creating online experience. That's what the metaverse is. It's an online experience. Excuse me. So, developing our imagination and our creativity, our originality is a crucial part of the qualified life. You train people to do that. You live imaginatively. You live through your imagination. We're not saying that we won't have logics or we won't have rational thought. Of course we do. But the main thing is you create the life that you want, you design the life that you want, you alter your future out of your imagination, right? That's what we're really focusing on and zeroing in on. And the spotlight is always on what is going on in your imagination. And of course, aligning with your imagination, you have to be able to choose, make good choices. And the way you make good choices, which are basically choices that lead to decisions, is your intuition. You have to be sensitive to your intuition, what your intuition is saying to you. And you got to learn to listen to the intuition and learn to hone it and develop it so that it excuse me, without having evidence, you know what is workable or what is fruitful and what is not, right? So you're able to discern things in life and people and characters and people you should deal with and shouldn't deal with. The intuition becomes important. And of course, once you have your intuition activated, your imagination going, then the integrity part of life is very important as well, which is another structure within the qualified life that leads you along the design life, the road to the design life, or the road to answering your future, to going up that mountain to the summit of your life, right? Integrity is you staying on track, not falling off the edge, but staying on track. And it calls for determination and effort. One thing we didn't deal with today, which is important as well, is intention. Maybe we should do a little bit of intention on the signpost of intention, because so we have intuition, integrity, imagination, and of course intention aligns with all three of those. Intention is where you deliberately make an effort, you set out. Life is not something that happens to us. We gotta deliberately choose the path that we want to take. Or if we don't choose, if we don't exercise intention, we fall off on the default life, right? We go on the default future. Or we fall off on the declining future. We become dormant and then starts declining, right? Things will just go downhill. But if you make an effort and you exercise intention, you intentionally wake up every day and say, I'm going to set out to live a different life. I'm going to set out to design the life that I want, that I love. I'm going to set out to alter the future that I believe is possible. Then if you deliberately exercise effort, energy into these things, and enlightenment, always seek to be enlightened. Well, how should I move forward? Where's the energy that I need to move forward? This is where young people have a lot of energy, but they waste it because young people are generally foolish people, right? They take all your energy and they waste it on foolishness. Whereas older people are cynical. Older people give up on life. The world system beats up on, generally speaking, right? I'm not talking about everybody. And people just give up and say, oh, I won't exercise any effort. I'm just going to go through the motions and whatever tomorrow holds, or whoever owns tomorrow, so be it. But we have to live intentionally. When we wake up in the morning, it starts from that moment when our eyes wake up. And you focus your mind on intentionally on the good thoughts, on what your purpose is, and allow yourself to go into that zone that when you get out of bed and you face the world, that you're living intentionally to achieve, to align yourself with integrity to your purpose, and use your imagination to go out there and with intuition knowing what to choose and who to choose to align yourself with, to create a world out there, an experience for people to come into that experience and rub shoulders with you and have a community with you that sustains you and fosters you and helps you to contribute to community and to society. I hope I'm making sense, but the point I'm getting at today is, and these signposts are so important, they're so important, these road maps, right? Because we're on a journey. This life is a journey, and here's how the journey goes. One day we're born, so from birth, and we go through the journey. Guess where we're heading? To the grave, right? To death. We're born and we die, but between that there's a journey. And that journey, we must choose our path. And the path that we choose, instead of choosing the default future, which we don't choose, we end up there because we follow everybody else, or we end up on the declining future because of bad choices. We choose the road that is our designed life, authoring our future, going up to the summit of our lives, living our potential, maximizing as much as we can our potential. We intentionally choose that path. And this world system is so wild and so out of whack that the world system doesn't put us on that path. We have to exercise effort, lots of effort, and lots of intentionality to be on that path, to choose that path. And we have to constantly watch that our integrity is aligned with our purpose, for us to move forward to the journey, that we can be at the top of the mountain before we end up in the grave. And at the top of the mountain, we can give the world our message, right? We can stand there and say, hey world, this is my message to you. I went through the journey of life, and this is what I found. This is the life lesson that I picked up, and I'm going to share it with you. And that's our purpose, to share whatever we learn in life with the rest of humanity, because nobody else would have learned what we would have learned in terms of the creativity that we could put on that message, right? Because everybody has a unique message. You might have the same message as I do, which is, for example, live the designed life, but the way I can express it and get people to agree with that and to align with it, and the way you express it and you have people align with it, are different methods, right? So you have your crowd and I have my crowd, and our message is different to different people. We have to be cognizant of these things. We have to live with intention. We have to exercise intuition to make the choices that we make, including who to bring into our lives. And then we have to exercise integrity to align with our purpose. And we have to exercise imagination to build the life that we want to live, to cultivate the kind of lifestyle that is fruitful, that is loving, that is kind, and that leaves a mark that we were here. I was here on this earth, and I'm not leaving without leaving my mark. You know, in New York and Hollywood, they have, and in Toronto as well, they have Hall of Fame with stars, literally gold stars, with the name of Hollywood stars and famous sports people and politicians and leaders. And in London, England, and all over the place, they have these things, right, where people, Hall of Fames, where you honor people. There's a mark that this person was here and this person achieved something amazing and made a significant contribution to human society, to the global village. We should all be there. We live in the age now and the generation in this 21st century, with the digital world rolling out, with a virtual space opening up, where that's possible for us. It wasn't possible maybe for our parents or for previous generation. Now it's possible. And let's not waste that opportunity. Let's not waste that amazing blessing that is sitting at our feet. We have the world at our fingertips. We can send a message. You can send a motivational message or an encouraging quote or thought on any platform, and it goes all over the world. And anybody could see it if you hashtag certain people. Everybody with that hashtag would see it. So we have power today as the individual, and let's exercise it. Let's use it. Let's live with intuition, intention, integrity, and imagination. So take care. I hope you have a good evening, and I'll see you tomorrow. Tomorrow's Friday, so we will do a show tomorrow, and because we want to do 5 for the week, and then the weekend, of course, we rest up. So thank you for joining me. Those of you who did, if you haven't joined me but you watched the video, thank you very much. I really appreciate it. Check us out, the other videos that we did before on our YouTube channel and also Facebook, Future Stars Media Enterprise. Thank you guys, take care, and see you tomorrow.